So guys, this is the second video in creating equations of exponential graphs. Most likely there will probably end up being a third video as well. I don't want to put too much on one video. That said, before we actually get into this video, I do want to say that the graphs that were made for this video were made using Desmos. They were powered by Desmos, so I just want to make sure I give that credit there. So kind of picking up where we left off, when you're coming up with the equation of an exponential function from a graph, you'd want to try and come up with your y-intercept first. So our y-intercept here, though, it doesn't look like it's going to be really easy to figure out just by looking at the graph. So when that happens, what you want to do is find some other points that seem to work, okay? So if we look right next to that, there's a point. And then we've got another point here, and those are the only 2 points that we've got. But that's okay. It only takes 2 points to come up with your equation. So those 2 points are located at 2, 4 and 1, 1. So this equation, this graph is showing exponential growth. So that means our b value needs to be greater than 1. So we've got to think then, to go from 1 to 4, we multiply by what? Well, we multiply by 4. So the b value for this equation will be 4, but we've got to come up with the y-intercept, okay? So it might help in a case like this, guys, to make a table. So if we make a chart, make a table of our x and y values that we know. So 0, 1, and 2. We don't know what the y value is when x is 0. But we know that when x is 1, y is 1. And we know that when x is 2, y is 4. So, guys, think. We multiplied by 4 to go from 1 to 4. So then to go backwards, we would divide 4 by 4, which would give us 1. So then if we divide by 4 again, okay, so if we divide 1 by 4, that gives us 1/4 for our y-intercept. Or if you prefer using decimals, 0.25. Either one would work. So then the equation that goes with this graph is y equals 1/4 times 4 to the x power. Or if you prefer the decimal, y equals 0.25 times 4 to the x power. Okay, so then let's do another one. So on this one, same idea, try and find that y-intercept first. Here we do. Here that y-intercept is at 6, right there. And then we want to find a couple of other points. So we've got a point right here. And then we also have a point back here as well. So I'm going to try and fill those points in. Okay, so the coordinates of those 3 points, let's write them down, okay? And we'll use a table. So this point back here, all the way to the left, that top point, is at -1, 9. Then when x is 0, our y value is 6. That's our y-intercept. And then when x is 1, our y value is 4. Okay? So we can tell from the table and from the graph as well that this function is showing exponential decay. But we've got to then figure out what are you dividing by to go from 9 to 6, to go from 6 to 4. All right? If you aren't sure what that is, guys, then just actually say, well, 9 divided by 6 gives me what? Well, 9 divided by 6, if we reduce that down, the biggest number that goes into 9 and 6 is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right? Well, look at from 6 to 4. See if it also, when you divide 6 by 4, does it give you 3/2? The biggest number that goes into 6 and 4 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So what we are dividing by is 3/2, okay? Now, remember though, when you make your equation, especially if it's decay, that factor, when you make your equation, it has to be written based in terms of multiplication, all right? So we're not really dividing by, yes, we are dividing by 3/2, but we need to think that or flip that and write it in terms of multiplication instead, okay? So when you are dividing by a fraction like that, guys, to reverse it and turn it into multiplication, all you need to do is flip the fraction, all right? So let me show you what I mean. If I say 9 times 2/3, not 3/2, I'm flipping it so we can write our equation with multiplication. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Well, 6 was the next y value that we had in that table. If I say 6 times 2/3, 6 times 2 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 was the next y value in that table, okay? So our factor, our b value, is actually 2/3. So then our equation will be y equals 6, that was our y-intercept right here, times 2/3 to the x power. All right, and that'll be it for this video.